Research and execute password recovery procedures on physical modes. The purpose of this activity is to research the procedure for recovering or resetting the enabled password on a specific Cisco router. The enabled password protects access to privileged exit and configuration mode on Cisco devices. The enabled password can be recovered, but the enabled secret password is encrypted and would need to be replaced with a new password. In order to bypass a password, a user must be familiar with the ROM mode, as well as the configuration register settings for Cisco routers. ROM is basic command line interface software stored on ROM that can be used to troubleshoot boot errors and recover a router when an iOS is not found. You will begin by researching the purpose and settings of the configuration register for Cisco devices. You will then research and detail the exact procedure for password recovery for a specific Cisco router. Finally, using Packet Tracer, you will practice the procedure by using the configuration register to recover a password on a Cisco 2911 router. Research the configuration register. To recover or reset the enabled password, you will access the ROM interface to instruct the router to ignore the startup configuration when booting. When booted, access privileged exit modes. Override the running configuration with the saved startup configuration. You will then recover or reset the password and restore the boot process of the router to include the startup configuration. The configuration register of the router plays a vital role on the process of password recovery. In the first part of this activity, you will research and purpose of the configuration register of a router and the meaning of certain configuration register values. Describe the purpose of the configuration register. What is the purpose of the configuration register? The configuration register can be used to change the way the router boots, options for booting, and console speed. What command changes the configuration register in global configuration mode? Config-register. Config-register. What command changes the configuration register in ROM mode? Conf-reg. Determine configuration register values and their meanings. Research and list the router behavior for the following configuration register values. Hexadecimal 2102. For the configuration register value hexadecimal 2102, a router will load the iOS from flash memory and then load the startup configuration from the NVRAM, if present. If no operating system is found, the router will boot to ROM mode. Okay, this is a normal boot. Okay, hexadecimal 2142. For the configuration register value hexadecimal 2142, a router will load the iOS from flash memory, ignore the startup configuration in NVRAM, and provide a prompt for initial configuration dialog. If no operating system is found, the router will boot to ROM mode. Okay, this configuration register will ignore the startup configuration in NVRAM. What is the difference between these two configuration register values? The hexadecimal 2102 settings is for normal router operation. The hexadecimal 2142 settings bypasses the startup configuration, allowing a user to recover or reset the enabled password. Document the password recovery procedure for a specific Cisco router. You will describe the exact procedure for recovering or resetting a password from a 2900 series Cisco router and answer a question based on your research. Detail the process to recover a password on a specific Cisco router. Research and list the steps and commands to recover or reset the enable secret password from your Cisco router. Summarize the steps in your own words. Okay, to recover or reset the enable password on the Cisco 2900 series router, complete the following steps. Step 1. Establish a terminal connection with the router using TeraTerm or other terminal emulator. Step 2. Boot to ROM mode by either removing flash and rebooting or selecting Alt-B during a reboot. Step 3. Type confreg hexadecimal 2142 at the ROM mode prompt. Step 4. Type reset and the next ROM mode prompt. Step 5. Type no at the initial configuration dialog. Step 6. Type enable at the router prompt. Step 7. Type copy startup config running config to load the startup configuration. Step 8. Type configure terminal. Step 9. Reset an encrypted enable password. Step 10. In configuration mode, type config-register hexadecimal 2102. Step 11. In privilege exec mode, type copy running config to startup config to save configuration. Step 12. Use the show version command to verify configuration register settings. Using Bucket Tracer, execute the recovery of an enabled password and a secret password on a Cisco 2911 router. Imagine that you have just returned from a week-long conference. You tried to log into the main company router, but while you were away, someone changed the enabled password. You are unable to log into the router. From the desktop of the laptop, use the terminal mode to connect to the router. Because the passwords are unknown to you, you will not be able to log in. Okay, this is the laptop on the table, and it has a connection, a console connection from the port RS-232 connected to the router on console port. This is the laptop on the table, and this is the router. Okay, from the laptop, go to desktop terminal. Okay, enter, and I need the console password. I don't know what is. Enter. Okay, the password is unknown. Okay, and in physical mode, go to the rear view of the router in the rack and switch the router off. Okay, and right click, inspect rear, and this is the power button, and turn off. Power the router back on and quickly return to terminal mode on the laptop and enter Ctrl+C before the hash loading marks have finished displaying. If you are not quick enough, power cycle the router another time. You should end up in run mode. Okay, turn on and quickly go to the laptop. Click on the laptop, desktop, terminal, OK. Ctrl+C. Now you are on run mode. Okay, run monitor. On real equipment, you might have to type Alt-B instead of Ctrl+C. On real equipment, you must be physically near to the router to execute this procedure. It is essential that a corporation ensure that there is strong physical security for all networking devices. Now, change the value of the configuration register and reboot. Now, conf reg hexadecimal 2142. Okay, change from 2102 to 2142. Enter. And rest. Ensure that you enter no to the initial configuration dialog question. You will be in user exec mode. Go to privilege exec mode. Okay, would you like to enter initial configuration dialog? Answer no. Enter, enter. No passwords and copy the startup configuration to the running configuration. The router prompt should have changed to main. Okay, go to privilege exec mode, enable. Okay, once you are on privilege exec mode, copy startup dash config to running config, running dash config. Enter. Enter again. Now you can see the host name is main. This is the prompt, so the configuration was loaded successfully. Okay, this is very good. And you can verify this with show running config. Okay, this the enable secret password, the host name, IP addresses on interfaces, line console and BTY passwords. Very good. Make the following modifications to the running configuration. Change the router prompt to branch. Okay, configure terminal and change this host name to branch. Okay, sensitive. Okay. Change the secret password to branch1. And enable secret branch1. Okay, case sensitive. Remember this. Change the console BTY line passwords to branch2. Line console 0 passwords branch2. Okay, remember this password. Okay, login is already set. Okay, don't worry. Line BTY 0 to 4. Okay, the range is from 0 to 4. Enter the same password branch2. Okay, login already set on BTY lines and exit. Add a banner password recovered. Banner message of the day. Case sensitive password recovered. enter. Verify the value of the configuration register. Okay, and show version. Space. The configuration register was changed on wrong monitor to 2142. Change the configuration register to hexadecimal 2102. Configure terminal config-register hexadecimal 2102. Okay, change to the normal boot. Okay, enter. Save the running configuration to startup configuration and do this on privileged exec mode and copy running config to startup-config. Okay, from the RAM to the NVRAM. Enter, reload the router, reload, enter, and log in with the new passwords. Enter. This is the console password. So console password is branch 2. Branch 2. Very good. This is now the user exec mode. Go to privileged exec mode with enable password. And the enable secret password is branch 1. Branch 1. Very nice. Display the running configuration. Notice that the interfaces are in shutdown mode. Reactivate interfaces gigabit 00 and gigabit 02. Show running config, gigabit 00 shutdown, gigabit 02 shutdown. Okay, configure terminal, interface gigabit 00, not shutdown, enter. Okay, and gigabit 02, not shutdown. Okay, answer questions about the password recovery procedure. Using the process for password recovery, answer the following questions. Describe how to find the current settings for your configuration register. Show version command will provide the current settings for the configuration register. Okay, and show version. Show version. This is. Describe the process for entering wrong mode. A user can remove the flash memory and restart the router to boot to the wrong mode utility. A user can also boot the router and select Alt-B when using TeraTerm on real equipment. What commands do you need to enter the wrong mode interface? A user would need to enter confreg hexadecimal 2142 to change the configuration register, followed by reset to restart the router. What message would you expect to see when the router boots? If a router does not load the startup configuration, a user would expect to see message continue with configuration dialog. Why is it important to load the startup configuration into the running configuration? Loading the startup configuration into the running configuration ensures that the original startup configuration remains intact. And also, you can modify the passwords on the running configuration. Why is it important to change the configuration register back to the original value after recovering password? Returning the configuration register to the original value will ensure that the router will load the startup configuration during the next reload. Why is it of critical importance that the router be physically secured to prevent unauthorized access? because the password recovery procedure can only be performed using a console connection, which requires direct physical access to the device. Preventing unauthorized user access to the physical device is an imperative part of an overall security plan. Thank you very much.